Ugh, that's disgusting. But game three's here. Game one went to Jacob's way. Game two went my way. Like I said, I'm gonna figure out how to make those little boxes pop up to redirect you to the other games, and hopefully I'll be able to do that for the rest of the circuit. So, yeah, this is game three. No team preview, so let's just go ahead and get it in. I'm gonna lead Gengar. I'm normally not a big Gengar fan, but I decided to bring it to switch it up. Just because, like I said, I'm not a big Gengar fan, so maybe it'll be a nice change of pace. He brings Alakazam, though, so I gotta get out of there. And go to Chansey to try and take the Psychic. This turn is sort of 50-50. Just really on my end. He pretty much has a clear play, which is the Psychic. It's really sort of, do I want to stay in, take the Psychic, be at low health, and then risk 60% Hypnosis? Do I want to go to Chansey and then risk special drops or whatever, risk crits, all that garbage? Because Zam technically can beat Chansey in 1v1, depending on this. Well, not even depending on the set. Well, Seismic Toss can beat Chansey in 1v1. Reflect it can, but it's a little bit more difficult. But it's really more so, do I want to get paralyzed the following turn? Because lead Zam, at least if you're leading Zam, you're expecting it to be asleep. So it getting paralyzed isn't as big of a deal. And my Chansey getting paralyzed is a bit of a bigger deal now because of the body slam changes. So my Chansey remaining unparalyzed is... Chansey being paralyzed is worse than it used to be, is essentially what I'm trying to say. But none of that happens because he goes to his own Chansey, and I just go for a soft-boiled. His Chansey gets paralyzed, I guess, by me. I think before I went for soft-boiled, I try to paralyze his Zam. He goes to Chansey, and then I just go for soft-boiled right here. I had to go for soft-boiled right there. That's right, so I could stay out of Tauros range. In case Tauros shenanigans happen, so I can switch into that. But luckily he gets paralyzed, so the luck's going in my favor early on. And we're about to see the entire Chansey set. So we see Seismic Toss, Thunderwave, Reflect, and the last has to be Soft Boiled. So I switched to Chansey right here. Why do I switch to Chansey? I don't remember. But yeah, the point is that my Lax does get paralyzed though, so this isn't good. A lot of my stuff is getting paralyzed. And then I think my Gengar gets paralyzed this turn. Okay, so this game, my rust at RBY and just Mons in general shows completely. So I scout out the set, and at this point I'm looking at my chops thinking, what is this garbage set? Gengar walls it. But as you'll see a little bit later, RBY mechanics are definitely things. So I just T-ball thinking, alright, I'm just getting some damage off. Paralyze me all you want. I wall you to shit. Obviously that's not the truth, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind at this point. And I just Hypnosis trying to scout a switch. Because I figure that he's going to switch at this point because he's thinking that I wall him. That's not the case though. But yeah, he soft boils right there. I just, like I said, I just Hypnosis. Doesn't really matter what I go for, but I just want Hypnosis trying to get something on the switch. He goes to Alakazam right here, which I guess is alright. I just went for the Hypnosis again because, once again, I'm trying to catch him messing up and slipping and going for a switch when he really shouldn't be switching right there. He does, though, and I'm able to catch the Zam. Fortunately, my Hypnosis hits. Zam is probably the best case thing that he would like to sleep, but it's all good. So it goes to Lax right here. I think I just fire off T-Bolt, I want to say, or I switch. Okay, actually I make a very strong play right here because I figure that he's going to try and go to a normal type because I'm paralyzed, and he's already put something, or I've already put something to sleep, so I go to Exeggutor predicting that. So I'm able to just fire off a Psychic right here on the Lax, and we see Ice Beam Lax, which is very unusual. Usually if they do choose to not run EQ, they're running Blizzard, or they're running Surf, because Blizzard is usually for very specific mons, which it hits harder than Blizzard. But sometimes you like Blizzard because Eggy can get frozen, and Chansey can get frozen and all that. Speaking of freeze, my Exeggutor gets frozen after 2 of these Ice Beams. Ice Beam Lax, though, means that it's Amnesia, so bring in the Amnesia Lax. So he might be Stall, because that, at least in my experience, that's where you usually see Amnesia Lax. I'm not trying to say that that's 100% true because I'm not an RBY expert, and we do see the Amnesia there. But that's usually when I see it, so you can sort of handle opposing stall. Even though Slowbro is, like I said, I feel like if you're going to use Amnesia Lax, just try to incorporate Amnesia Slowbro, and you can just use regular Lax, which is easily the second best mod in the tier, in my opinion. Some people try and tell you that it's Chansey or Iggy or something like that, but Tauros is Lax is the general consensus, is number 2. But he switches out there for whatever reason. Amnesia Lax typically carries Reflect and Rest, so he's in a upper position there. But once again, Jacob, I don't know, like I said, he was having net problems, so maybe it was lag or whatever, or some situation that was going on. Can't say that word. Can't say that word either. But he just switches out right there after he has the +2 up. His Lax, or his Zam wakes up as my Lax gets paired. I don't even know why I went out to Snorlax right there. Oh yeah, to try and scare it out with Boom. Because I don't want to deal with Amnesia Lax. If I trade my Lax for his Amnesia Lax, I'm completely okay with that, because Amnesia Lax fucks this team up super hard. So is Amnesia Bro. That's really my way of dealing with it. It's just I have 3 mounts with Boom. So I have 4 mounts with Boom actually, because I have Golem. So just boom that shit. But so that's my plan of dealing with that. But he smartly switches out of there to Alakazam. But I don't bite initially because only at +2 Lax doesn't scare me, even though he has Reflect, so that's why he switched out. So we make sense now. RBY is just going on. We're just paralyzing each other, just going for sight kicks. Just standard RBY stuff. I'm just babbling on about some other shit, and it doesn't even matter because hopefully you guys can read the screen. So he's getting these special drops, and I'm getting paralyzed a bunch, and it's scary because crit roll might KO me. Doesn't crit me though. Doesn't get another special drop. Am I going to get paralyzed right here? I don't get paralyzed. I could, in theory, switch to Iggy or something. I could, in theory, switch to Iggy, get rid of that special drop. But I choose not to. That's probably the better place to pivot to my frozen Iggy, shake the special drop, and then... Well, the thing is, though, so that if I pivot to Iggy, I feel like my switch back to Chansey is very obvious. And he's just going to go back to, like... He's just going to go to Tauros or something to take advantage of Chansey. Low health Chansey that's paralyzed, so that's why I want to stay in and try and soft boiled. So obviously I'm risking some paras and some stuff like that. I think I go to Iggy this turn to rid myself of the special drop now that I'm at full health, rather near full health. But I believe that was my logic for trying to stay in right there and just dealing with the special drop. Was I didn't want to pivot to Iggy and then him predict me going back to Chansey and going to a Tauros when I'm very low. So now I go back to Chansey now that I'm high enough HP to handle Tauros, even though I am paralyzed. I believe he actually does go to Tauros right here, predicting that. So my thought logic is right. He goes to Lax, but he's Amnesia Lax, so it's a little bit different. Amnesia Lax can, in theory, beat Chansey 1v1, and I'm not Seismic Toss either. Like, that's the whole reason why you run Seismic Toss Chansey, is to deal with Amnesia stuff. Particularly Amnesia Lax, even though it has rest most of the time anyway, but once it rests, it's all whatever, so. He just decides to rest right here, not even playing around with Amnesia. I think that maybe he should have at minimum set up like a Reflect or something. So, I don't know. I go to Tauros right here expecting him to set up an Amnesia, and actually, no, he had to go for rest right there because he's in Hyper Beam range of Tauros, I believe. Or it's at the very least like a roll. I don't remember exactly what he was. I think it was at 45 or 44. So I think he is in Hyper Beam range. So that's why he had to rest right there. So that was a good play. Maybe, like I said, maybe Reflect though. Because, yeah, Reflect. And then the rolls are in my favor. So I get a Body Slam crit on him. 26.2, the max is, I believe, 26.9 for Body Slam. So it's down to, so I'm able to get a crit, a higher roll, and then another crit. So I completely hacks the shit out of his Snorlax. So I guess that's another way that we deal with Amnesia Lax is well-trained Tauroses, but that I was basically just like, you know what, I'm just getting this damage for 3 years sleep, and just happened to get a little bit lucky, so it's all good. Because I know that if I don't get the roll, he has to rest again, and the crits are eventually bound to go in my favor. Or I can put him into hyper beam range and try and scare him out that way. So, hit if he didn't rest again. Right there, then wasn't the best play on his part. So, Starmie's going to come and threaten me out, force me to Chansey. He gets a special drop on me. Or he goes for T-Wave, then he gets a special drop. So now I got to go to Aggie. He knows that Chansey's coming in, so I believe he goes to Tauros right here to try and take advantage of that. But my Chansey is at high HP because I'm prepared, sort of, for Tauros. I was about as prepared as you can be in this generation, but 80% is still more than enough. I mean, he can crit me and then I'll be sad, but besides that, he switches out right there because he knows that usually once Tauros starts licking its chops around Chansey is when you're below 65, below 66, like 2/3. Once you start getting below that range, Tauros starts licking its chops. I believe 63 is min damage for Hyper Beam, 63 and a little percent. And that's really when you start looking at its chops. But below 2/3, like just in general for RBY, you want to keep your Chansey above 2/3 health. So I'm able to T-Wave Zam, or no, Zam's already paralyzed. And I'm just firing off T-Bolts, trying to force him to burn recovers. Even though this is Elite Zam, its only attacking move is Psychic. So even though Zam can beat Chansey 1v1, I'm more than content trying to trade Psychics with it, force him to use Psychics. You only have 16 of them. I don't know how many he's used. He has had to have used at least 7 or 8 by now, maybe more. And that's really what I'm trying to do, is trying to get him to use Psychic so I can just beat his Alakazam straight up so it can't attack me anymore. So that's the whole reason why I'm staying in with Chansey, even though it might not necessarily be the best decision. Also, I don't have another Psychic on this team besides Aggie, which is frozen, so I have to. But that's another benefit, and why my Chansey can actually come out on top of the situation, because Psychic is his only attacking move. And after that point, all I can do is PP stall me individually, but then I can go to something like Snorlax or Tauros and threaten out Alakazam, and its threat factor is neutralized. It'd basically be a pivot at that point, once it runs out of Psychics. And like I said, that's his only attacking move, so I'm completely okay with just staying in and forcing him to burn Psychics, but like I said, I have to because my last is Golem. The reason why I brought Golem is that he already brought his Zapdos, so I know that he's sort of prone to it. And this team does not handle Zapdos well at all. Like my best answer is just to trade with it and boom. This team is not that good. It's good, but it's not good. You know what I mean? But yeah. This is actually the second straight game where both of us get paralyzed for 2 turns. But right now it's just sort of RBY stuff. He's going for Sidekicks, I'm going for soft boiled, and Para's happening. It's just standard RBY. Nothing too exciting happening. I'm actually going to put it on fast until this exchange ends, which it does this turn, so never mind. So he's going to withdraw out of his Alakazam. He goes to Aggie right here. I believe I just Thunderbolts. Yeah, I believe I just Thunderbolts. I don't know why I don't Ice Beam. I guess I just want to save Ice Beam PP because that's a little bit more valuable. Yeah, that makes sense. So he gets an Aggie in on T-Bolts. Now Aggie can put something to sleep, I believe. Actually, no, because my Aggie is frozen. So I can just go to Aggie as kind of a Psychic pivot, and then... Isn't my Lax paralyzed? Yeah, it's paralyzed, so... do I try pivot out to my Lax now? Okay, yeah. Alright, so... I pivot to Lax on a Psychic. I pivot to Aggie on the Sleep Powder, and then I pivot to Lax on a Psychic. What I don't want him to do is just boom on me. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad, but... I don't know why I didn't... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but... Maybe I should have gone directly into Lax. I don't know. I don't really think it matters too bad, but... He stays in, and I just self-destruct right here. Bring the Aggie really low. And I'm able to get Lax in here in an alright spot. because I'm paralyzed and I'm low. I just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna boom. And then even if he goes out to Zam, which is probably his most expendable at this point, Zam is still dangerous even though it has limited psychic PP and it's paralyzed and all that. So his Aggie is low, and I guess he figures that a 1% Aggie that can boom on Chansey or something is more beneficial to him than the paralyzed Alakazam that only has like 7 psychic PP left. So he just decides to sack that to 2 body slams. I'm completely okay with that. And I'm completely okay with the fact that his Exeggutor is at 1%. Imagine how broken Spikes or Stealth Rock would be in this generation. Holy. Like, it's a good thing they don't exist. That's all I'm saying, dude. But Starmie's going to come in. That's going to threaten me out, but I can go to Chansey. He still has a Tauros though, which he could be in theory taking advantage of this situation, or maybe going for like recovers, predicting Chansey. But throughout most of the set, Jacob has played extremely conservatively. I can only think of maybe like one situation so far where he's made an aggressive play, or just like in general predicted what I'm doing. The rest of the time he's just played conservative. So I've sort of adapted over that over the past during game 2s and game 3. And just played really conservatively in response to that, which is going to make for some longer games, but it'll work out for me in the end, I feel like. And right now I'm in a pretty solid position. Well, he can still win because most of my mons are getting kind of low, and they're paralyzed, and Aggie's frozen. So it's looking like it's going to come down to a Tauros war at this point. So he has nothing left to sleep. I just go with the Gengar, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to take the EQ. See if I can put something to sleep. See if the 60% works with me. It doesn't. That's Hypnosis, so it's whatever, and I hit another one. So it's basically 50-50, but getting Tauros to sleep would definitely have been nice, and then just self-destructing. Well, actually, I didn't want to self-destruct because at the time I was still rusty, and I still thought that Seismic Toss didn't work on Ghost types, which it does in this gen, and you'll see that nearly come into play later, but so he crits me with EQ, which is unfortunate, because EQ normally does 33 to 39. And basically, in order for him to KO me normally, he needs a high roll on EQ and a sort of high roll on Blizzard in order to KO me normally. So like I said, I reveal Golem right there. That's with Iggy being low. I want to save Iggy as like explosion fodder, or as fodder versus Starmie if he gets some special drops or whatever. So because of that, because it's relatively unlikely for him to beat my Golem, at least when my Golem's at full health, I can keep it and I can just explode on something, or I can EQ. I think I would explode. Or actually, no, I'd EQ because he has Iggy at 1%, and that's his most likely thing is just to go after that. But he goes for Blizzard right here. He said he went for Blizzard because his net was having it. He just clicked it because he's like, ooh, super effective. And then he tried to cancel it and it didn't work, I think. Because he was having net issues, but I don't know. EQ does KO me from there. So that was a misplay on his end, and it ends up missing. So I get really lucky both on his end and on the roll there, and I'm able to get a bunch of damage on Tauros, which once again is just really, really nice. So now Tauros basically just, I basically win the Tauros war. The only way that he can win is if he's faster than me, hits a Blizzard and gets a freeze. But it doesn't even matter because my Tauros is well trained, like we all know at this point, and I don't even take any damage. I just win the speed tie straight up. And now I'm looking in a really good boat. Like at this point, there's a very high probability that I win, because his chance is paralyzed, his Iggy is low. Once I get Starmie paralyzed, then I win the game straight up. Because even if my Tauros gets paralyzed, then Starmie being paralyzed will just allow me to win the game pretty much. And I have Chansey with Thunderbolt, I believe, so I'll be in a good spot. So his play is just going to basically be, don't let Starmie get paralyzed, and I still have a shot, because it's RBY. So Starmie comes in, he just goes for Blizzard. I feel like at this point he should be playing more aggressive, because he's definitely down, and his tournament life is on the line. But he's not playing aggressive, and like I said, my Chansey's paralyzed, so I can't get frozen, which is why being parried is nice at times. And he just fires off Seismic Toss. I'm just going for T-Bolts. I just go for T-Bolt right there because I figure he's going to protect my Gengar switch. And he's going to go back to star me, so I just T-Bolt right there. And even if he stays in, I don't lose anything for T-Bolting. So now I go to Gengar. Like I said, at this point, I'm under the mindset that I'm immune to Seismic Toss. Because, like I said, I'm just really rusty when it comes to RBY, and I forgot about that mechanic. But he hits me. And I'm like, oh, damn. So I'm like, well, maybe it's some weird RBY thing. That he can hit me if I'm out to a Pokemon that, like, can't get hit by Seismic Toss. And then I go out to Gengar, and then maybe it could still hit me for some reason because there's the counter. I was thinking along the same lines as like the counter thing. Because if you don't know how the counter thing works, so counter only works to normal and fighting moves, not physical moves in this gen. So let's say you hit them with a body slam and then they use counter on you. And then you switch out and then you use counter, you'll still get hit with the same damage of counter. Like counter won't fail. You'll still get hit with twice the damage that the body slam did. That's a situation that comes up relatively frequently in RBY. So I thought that was what was going on with the Seismic Toss. For some reason, it didn't click in my mind that Seismic Toss works on ghost types in this gen. That's somewhat common, something that I should have known, but I forget about it. So it's still whatever though, because they're both paralyzed. As long as I don't get paralyzed, I can explode on him. But I decided to go for Thunderbolt because that's what I thought happened with the Seismic Toss there, even though that makes no sense, but nothing in this gen makes sense, so that's why it made sense in my brain. So I go for T-Bolt, useless crit right there because he just soft-boiled anyway. And I'm just able to get an explosion off because of the way explosion works in this gen. He can't do anything to me afterwards, or he can't do anything like soft-boiled afterwards, so I can just go to Tauros right here, get off a body slam for free. And he's just gonna sack Aggie more than likely, but if his Starmie gets paralyzed, like I said, I'm looking pretty good, especially with Chansey this low. I'm looking very solid. However, if I lose Tauros, I'm not looking solid, because I've used a bunch of PP already trying to deal with this Alakazam, and I don't think I'm going to be able to beat Seismic Toss, Reflect, Chansey, plus Starmie in a PP war. And I have Iggy in the back that's frozen. Keep that in mind. Actually, if I can stall them both out of attacking moves, then maybe Iggy can win because, well, no, not even, because I think, because I'm so low, I think he'll be able to struggle me, so if that's what it came down to, then that me randomly switching to Iggy when I should have switched to Lax right there, that might have been the play. So he has the T-Wave right there. No way around it. I figure he's gonna go to Chansey because he needs to soft boiled, and he's been playing relatively predictably. So I'm gonna try and go to Tauros, press the issue, prevent Chansey from getting paralyzed. He just goes for the Psychic right there. Making a nice play. If he predicted my Tauros, though, he should have T-Waved. So I don't think he was predicting it by Tauros. I think he was just trying to go for special drops on Chansey and try and hack his way through by Chansey. Even though Tauros is what he should be worrying about, not Chansey, because even if like his Starmie is relatively unlikely to beat my Tauros 1v1 because my Tauros is at full. It's not at full now, but even then I just have to like body slam him a bunch, and then eventually he's gonna get paralyzed. Well, actually, that's not true. Even though he is at 71, so maybe I can beat him if like some crits and stuff happen. But who knows? It all depends on hacks pretty much. If no hacks happens, I think his Starmie still comes out on top. But right here, I'm making some stupid ass plays. I'm thinking, all right, I just paralyzed Starmie, I'm good to go. When the reality of the situation is that I should have just played it safe, played the PP game. There's a high chance Starmie gets paralyzed at some point later on. So I'm like, at this point, I just want to get him paralyzed. I'm just trying to press the issue. I should not have pressed the issue right there. I should have just been like, I'm just going to play the PP game. Because at this point, I think I only had 7 soft boileds left. So I was worried about running out of soft boileds with Chansey. So that's why I was reluctant to soft-boiled. But at the very least, I should have soft-boiled to try and prevent... Because if he got 1 crit or 1 special drop in that whole situation with his Starmie, he may have actually won. And, yeah, I do get him paralyzed, but That might not have worked out for me. Like I would have had to get some crits or something. Or actually, no, because if I was able to get him paralyzed in that situation, basically I just body slam until I crit him because he either T-waves me and then, eventually I'm gonna break through because he just has to continuously recover and then maybe I can force him Hyper Beam Sword. He just dies and goes to Chansey of his own, which also dies to Hyper Beam at that point. But I don't think I should have. I should have just played that way more conservatively, especially because it's a mon like Starmie who has a really high crit ratio. Like, there's a pretty good chance that I easily could have just lost that game to Hex, because I was getting too greedy with the T-waves. But like I said, fortunately the Hex gods smile on me right there, and it's not like he didn't get his fair share of Hex, but. The Hex gods look down upon me and they're like, "Yeah, alright, we're gonna give you a pass on this one." But I should have definitely soft boiled it right there. Like, there's a really high probability I could have lost. I should have lost that, to be honest, because in RBY you have to expect Hex. But I was just getting too greedy. So, but fortunately, I was able to come through. It's not like Jacob didn't make his fair share of mistakes as well, but I just feel the need to point up mine so I can improve for the future. Or if anyone watches this knows not to do what I'm doing and soft boiled in that particular situation. So I nearly threw, but fortunately no Hex comes into play. But yeah, still a very solid series. We're on to round 2. Hopefully round 2 is just as solid. And hopefully I can come out on top for round 2 as well. But yeah, hope you all enjoy, guys, and later.